Hey, so I just recorded an entire video with no sound. But anyways, the topic today is searching for a wedding photographer. It is wedding or engagement season right now, and this is where everybody's getting engaged and they're starting to look for wedding vendors for next year or for 2018. So coming into the next few months, there's going to be a lot of people out there looking for wedding photographers. So I thought that maybe I would offer a little bit of advice on what you should be looking for when you are hiring a wedding photographer. First of all, research. You definitely want to be doing research, whether it's in your area or outside of your area. Chicago, Milwaukee, Kenosha is the areas that I service, and I think that, you know, even if you're from Milwaukee, you don't necessarily have to hire a photographer from that area. Sometimes you can find somebody outside of it. So just kind of expand your research, and typically you're going to keep coming back to a photographer's style that really speaks to you. And what that means is that if you're narrowing down your websites to a few, but you keep coming back to the same few, chances are their style speaks to you, and that's what you're attracted to. Explaining that to a non-photographer is kind of difficult, but basically it's their tone, the colors, their processing style, their lighting, the lighting that they tend to use for their pictures, and how the people in the pictures look. Whether they look happy, whether they look somber, whether they look like they came out of a magazine, you're going to be attracted to those things. That's something that a lot of brides have said to me, that they kept coming back to my website because they really loved my pictures, which means that they really loved my style. Next, you want to talk to photographers. Now, I have booked plenty of weddings via email without ever speaking to my clients, which is great. That means that they knew what they wanted. But I also really like to have a phone conversation with my brides, and when necessary, even meet them in person if we're not doing an engagement session. If we are doing an engagement session, then we get to meet in person then anyways. So you want to see if your personalities click, and if you think that you're going to be able to work with them for the entire day. If you're a type A personality and you really like to be in control, I think that's type A, then you want to make sure that the photographer you're working with can be okay with that, because, you know, I also like to be in control, and so I also know how to work with many personalities, and so I'm not really concerned about that so much as somebody else might be. And you just have to know when to step back as a photographer and let things go and offer your professional advice in situations where some people just might not know 100% the implications of what they're asking. And so that's important, and that kind of leads into the next thing, is experience. So with experience comes that knowledge to offer that advice. So you want a photographer who has a lot of experience. And there was a statistic somewhere that another photographer had given, that something like you have to shoot 100 weddings in order to experience every possible scenario in a wedding, which I have photographed over 100 weddings. I don't know that I've experienced every possible scenario, but I surely have experienced a lot. And from timeline shifts, like severe timeline shifts, to unhappy family members, to rain, to vendors changing things up at the last minute. So you have to be able to react quickly and still make the day feel cohesive and provide pictures for everybody that they're going to love. So experience is what your photographer needs in order to be able to provide you with that. And lastly, I would say that you have to make sure that your photographer has a contract. If your photographer is not asking you to sign a contract, that is a huge red flag. And preferably that contract should have been drawn up by a legal professional so that you both know exactly what you are expecting from each other. This is a business transaction, and you both want to be protected and covered legally. And so you want to make sure that you get a contract and then you look it over carefully, and that you are both okay with the terms in that contract. So happy hunting for a photographer, and I hope that anybody who watches this that's looking for a wedding photographer finds somebody that is a perfect match for them. Until next week.